scored mine.
Here we go. From the CSB studios in Stratford, Connecticut, it's the Zuki and Ruggs show. And Zuki.
Yes, sir.
Do you swear to take the oath of this sports radio program seriously and execute your responsibilities to cover all sports in the NFL and make accurate predictions for our listening audience? Do you solemnly swear?
I swear. I solemnly swear. I do. I do on a stack of Bibles. Abraham Lincoln's Bible, my Bible, your Bible, the sports Bible, all of it. I will. I promise I will make sports great again. Yeah. Oh,
all
man.
right, Alec Baldwin, that was pretty good.
I'm better than Alec Baldwin. He's a hack. He's overrated. He's not even funny. Maybe do something like Alec Baldwin. Maybe a little bit. Well, he gets paid a lot. You know, he gets paid a lot to do that. So, yeah, man, it's good to be back, man. Good to see you. I'm going to place this phone over here. All right? I'm moving. My finger's in the way. Eek. All right.
Yeah, you got to be more conspicuous than Antonio Brown in the Pittsburgh Steelers locker room last week. But
yeah. Oh, yeah, Antonio Brown was going Facebook Live in his, in the locker room there, got caught out, you know. He's
Mike Tomlin put him in the corner.
In big trouble there. He's in big trouble, yeah. Make the phone a little closer.
I mean, we'll get into it later, but I think it really ups the pressure on him to have a big game. But I expect him to do that, and we'll get into that in a minute. We'll go over, what's happened in the playoffs to this point. Be honest with you, a lot of ho-hum games, really. And kind of
find a spot there.
You started with 4 favorites winning, 4 home favorites winning in
very
wild card round, and
very lackluster wild card round, to say the very least. No surprises at all.
Came down to that last day of the divisional round before everything kind of shook up a little. I'd be honest with you, I didn't think Green Bay or Pittsburgh winning were big upsets by any means.
No.
But
I mean, I picked. We didn't have a show, but on Facebook I was kind of talking to people, and I kind of picked the Giants. I thought the Giants were going to win.
Yeah, I kind of did too.
And it looked good for the Giants, but they weren't able to put the ball in the end zone, and you can't win that way. If you don't put the ball in the end zone, you're not going to win, especially against a high-powered offense like the Packers. And the game turned, ironically enough, and with the Hail Mary, just like it turned for the Giants in 2011 or 12, if you look at the calendar year. But when the Giants last won the Super Bowl and they played in Green Bay, that's when the game really turned for the Giants. They hit that Hail Mary to Hakeem Nicks before the half, and ironically enough, Rodgers hits the Hail Mary to Randall Cobb, and at that point the game was really, it was a Packers game to win at that point. They went up 14-6 to half, and it was all over at that point. I mean, they got the fourth down stop though, the Giants, on Ty Montgomery, and then Eli threw the touchdown to make it 14-13. But then Rodgers came right down the field, and he just dominated, just put the ball right back in the end zone, and it was all over from there.
Yeah, I thought that's where the Giants lost it too, because I felt when they got that touchdown that they were going to come back and win the game.
Yeah, I did too. And then all of a sudden it just unraveled for the Giants. But it's no surprises there. And then but we had some great games last week, that's for sure.
Yep.
And especially with Dallas, Green Bay. Your heart goes out to the Dallas Cowboy fans. I guess.
Well, I think they overachieved. They overplayed the season. I didn't think going in that they were as big a lock to win that game as a lot of people did. I basically said to people that were big Dallas fans, I'm like, man, you don't want any part of Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
And they were like, we're going to pound Zeke, and we're going to win, and we're going to control the ball. And, when they were able to do it.
Yeah. They did.
Linehan didn't want to.
Again, though, you can't. Yeah, right, man. And you can't. You got to score. You got to score, and you can't get 3 points off of your first few possessions, and then Aaron Rodgers is putting the ball in the end zone. I mean, I know Ty Montgomery had 2 touchdowns, but whatever. Rodgers was leading them down the field, and they were putting the ball in the end zone. They went down 21-3, and You know, then the Cowboys have to play from behind, and you know they're not built that way. But we haven't seen them play from behind a lot this year.
Yeah, I mean they did a great job getting back in the game. I give them a lot of credit.
What a game, and you know, and Dak Prescott. I tell you what, if you're a Cowboy fan, you got to feel good about it. You got to feel good about Dak Prescott.
Yeah, I'm tired of hearing Francesa saying this guy can't play from the pocket. I mean, he was carving him up from the pocket.
Oh,
now, Green Bay was playing soft defense a little bit. They were protecting the lead for a lot of the second half, and you know he had a lot of wide open middle of the field. But also Green Bay, you know, they got the mash unit on secondary. I mean,
right.
I mean, they're playing fourth and fifth string guys trying to cover Des Bryant. It's not going to work out too well. Even Cole Beasley and Terrence Williams were, you know, gashing them for huge gains. When they, when they dropped guys back and lightened up the line, they're able to put Elliott right through there, and he was. Even when they were stacking the box, I mean, he was getting 5-6 yards a carry. He was
dominant. Yeah. He really was. But unfortunately, he had 22 carries. You know, and it's tough to win the game.
Not enough.
Yeah, the Cowboys' blueprint for victory just didn't come to fruition, man. I mean, you know, when you're down 20, like I said, when you go down 21-3, you can't run the ball. Like I told you the story when I was when I was in Atlanta, Week 1, when the Bucs were playing your Falcons, and the Bucs went up 31-13, and I got some idiots behind me saying, run the ball. And I'm like, you're down by 18. We haven't run the ball. What are you, stupid? What do you mean run the ball? You got Matt Ryan, you got Julio Jones. You go, we run the ball. You can't run the ball enough by freaking 18 points. So, you know, I think that's when I think they went to plan B. And, you know, plan B worked. I mean, the Cowboys did a great job. They got back in the game, and they tied it up, and it turned into a classic. And
yeah, they put a little more on Prescott's plate, and he responded.
Absolutely, man. And I tell you, Mason Crosby gets lost in the shuffle here. And I know I'm kind of jumping, you know, Rodgers. And, you know, give Rodgers all the credit in the world. He's playing like, arguably, I mean, he's playing as like an all-time great quarterback. He really is. I mean, he's right up there now. I mean, from what I'm seeing from this guy, he's an all-time great. I mean, it's over. I mean, I don't care if he doesn't win another Super Bowl. I don't care. The guy does things I've never seen any quarterback do before. But Mason Crosby, man, this guy's turning into a legendary kicker.
Clutch.
I mean,
kick.
He's right up there. He's getting right up there with Vinatieri now, man. I mean, you look back at the NFC title game 2 years ago at Seattle, making big kick after big kick. It wasn't his fault they lost that game. And now you look at the game against Dallas. I believe it's 22 straight field goals he's made in the playoffs. I remember, you know, seeing a stat. I don't know if I'm wrong or not. I should have looked it up. Sorry, I'm ill-prepared. Facebook. Sorry, my audience. I'm ill-prepared. I'm unprepared for this podcast. But but still, man, he's right up there, man. He's right up there with all the clutch kickers of all time, especially in the postseason. Guys like Vinatieri and
I'll tell you,
Scott Norwood. And
you know, now that we're into championship weekend, I mean, you can't have 4 better quarterbacks going, and you got 4 pretty darn good kickers going too. Because I'll tell you, Boswell has been great. He's the one guy who might have been the odd man out. Nobody heard of coming into the season, but you know, he's probably outperformed Gostkowski this year. If you look at the body of work for the season, I know Pittsburgh a lot of times doesn't give him the opportunities to kick. You know, they'll go for a lot of 4th downs and go for 2-point conversions a lot. So, I mean, he doesn't get to, you know, rack the scoring numbers that some of these other guys do. But, and I don't, you know, as great as Mason Crosby is, I'll put Matt Bryant right up against him.
Bryant's having a great year.
He's
Bryant's
pretty close too.
He is, man.
He may go and miss the kick to win to go to the Super Bowl this week. But, you know, I haven't seen him do that yet. I haven't seen him tank a kick when they need it.
He's having a great – I mean, he's had a great career. I tell you, Matt Bryant is a guy who's had a very underrated career. Guys, I remember when he was kicking for Tampa, he made I believe it was 63-yarder. I believe he tied the NFL record when he was with Tampa. Matt Bryant has had he gets lost in the shuffle of great kickers. Matt Bryant is money.
I know a couple years ago in the divisional round they played Seattle, and you know, they really needed to win that game for Matt Ryan. He had won a playoff game. And they blew a huge lead in the fourth quarter. Yep. And just got enough time. Matt Ryan was able to get him into range. And you're talking about I believe it was like 51, 52-yard field goal. Yeah. And he had to do it twice because Carroll called the late timeout.
Yeah, right.
And that's all I need to know. If you can go under that pressure and do the kick twice and drill it, win the game, that speaks volumes right there.
Absolutely.
But nobody is hotter than Mason Crosby. I agree with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Is it? It's arguable to say that Gostkowski this year, who has not had a great year, he's missed some kicks that very uncharacteristic of him. It's crazy to say that he may be the least talented kicker left in the playoffs. And I know
he's definitely frustrated the hoodie this year. You've seen him a couple of times throwing his clipboard around with some misses that Gostkowski is.
And I still go back to that missed extra point. I really think if that, you look back last year in retrospect, if they that extra point he missed loomed large for them against Denver last year. So, and ever since then, he this year, listen, he's still a tremendous kicker. I'm not going to sit here and poo-poo him, but I'll tell you, man, he hasn't been that dominant kicker that we're accustomed to seeing, man. So, or that we're used to seeing. But nevertheless, man, it should be exciting, man. Should be some great games, and let's get right to it, man.
I love how we start talking off about the kickers. Let's get into the.
I know. Well, by the way, there's like four of the greatest quarterbacks. Two of the greatest quarterbacks of all time who are each one win away from meeting on my birthday, February 5th, for Super Bowl 51. My birthday, man. I can't believe it. So, it'd be nice if my team actually made it to a Super Bowl on my birthday. It'd be nice if they make the playoffs. Jesus Christ. The Buffalo, they stink. Holy cow.
We'll see. I thought they made a good hire.
You like McDermott? I like McDermott, too.
I think McDermott will do a good job up there.
Yeah, I think so. And your boy looks like he's going headed to San Francisco.
Yep.
No surprise. I think it's a good hire. It's a good fit, I think. Kyle Shanahan.
Anything's up from what, they're for San Francisco after what left. So.
Yeah. Oh, my God. Chip Kelly.
The Chip Kelly experiment did not succeed.
No. Epic failure.
I mean, we kind of discussed that even when he was first coming to Philadelphia. Man, we've been doing this for a long time.
Yeah, we have.
When he first came to Philadelphia, we had some issues with the way it was going to work.
Yeah. He's a glorified OC, just like Rex is a glorified defensive line
Some people
coach.
just have to know the role and stick with it. Romeo Crennel,
right,
gets number one defenses. Everywhere he goes.
Wade Phillips,
throw him as a head coach. Exactly.
Guys are just good coordinators, man.
Exactly.
That's it. But got we got the championship weekend, baby. Woohoo! And we got
let's start off, I guess, with the NFC game.
Yeah, your game,
3
man.
o'clock.
Your game. If anybody doesn't know out there, Chris is a huge Atlanta Falcons fan. I got the stuff from the Georgia Dome. I left it in my car. I'll give it to you after.
Oh,
I got it right in my car. I should have. I'm so stupid. I ran to get up here because I was running late. As usual, anyone who knows me, especially my girlfriend, knows that I'm always late. My exes who aren't listening to the show know that as well. And and I forgot to bring it up to you, but I will. It's pretty cool stuff. But so we got, this should be a great game, Ruggs. It's the final game at the Georgia Dome. Speaking of which, I tagged you on Facebook. Your new stadium. It's going to be magnificent. Your new stadium is going to be real cool. So it's the last game of the Georgia Dome, which I can't believe, man. I cannot believe it, man. I went there and I had the opportunity to go there and check it out, and I was stoked. That was really cool to see that.
Yeah, and I think you probably couldn't pick a better way to close it out than to have this game. I mean, there's just going to be fireworks all over the stadium, I think, for this game. The over-under 61.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That may be the first time I can remember an NFL game with an over-under over 60, especially in the playoffs, because you expect the playoffs, the scoring to come down.
Mm-hmm.
It really hasn't happened this year. I mean, you had a lot of high-scoring games. You got a lot of offenses really kind of ruling the NFL right now. The one team I thought that could make a defensive run this year was the Giants, and once they got knocked out, I think it just took the genie's out of the bottle now. Mm-hmm. I mean, you're going to have some shootouts. I mean, New England still and Pittsburgh have some decent defenses. That'll be a lower scoring game I would expect than this one. But this game, I would tell you right now, Zook, it feels like punts or turnovers. If you're not converting on a third down and you got to punt, you got to be worried. Mm-hmm. Because if you're down, especially, it's 21-14, say in the second quarter, and you're trying to come back and tie, and you got to kick the ball back, whichever way it's going, you got to feel real concerned because you may very well now be 2 scores down, and then you're going to be chasing the whole rest of the game. So very important to try to get up and be ahead of that curve and, have the early lead and force the other team to have to come back and try to even it up with you. And again, I know we're talking about these great kickers, and it's going to matter possibly in the last, the 2-minute drill or fourth quarter, but you don't want to see a lot of them early in the first 3 quarters because field goals are going to lose you the game. If you're the team kicking them, it's not going to help you. You need to score touchdowns. You need to be very efficient and convert in the red zone. As much as possible, you need to control the ball. That's the one. I'll look at it from Atlanta's perspective, I guess. That's one area I think they have an advantage, but they have to make sure they take away Ty Montgomery. Everybody talks about Aaron Rodgers. They better not let Ty Montgomery run for 120 yards against them because that's going to be what defensive coordinator Richard Smith, that's what he's going to probably have to give up is to slow down and shut down Aaron Rodgers because, believe me, that's all he's been doing for a whole week is just looking at film and diagnosing how to shut down Aaron Rodgers. But you can't let Ty Montgomery run all over you because then they're going to have to make the adjustments. Early in the Seattle game, Thomas Rawls was looking like he was going to have a big day. They made the adjustment, and they really shut him down. And, the Seattle went pretty much pass happy in the last 3 quarters anyway. And, the Falcons did a great job really in quarters 2 and 3 eliminating Seattle's offense. And, kind of when Seattle started scoring again, it was basically garbage time. I mean, there was a long period of time when they didn't put any points up on the board. So even though the Falcons' defense is pretty lousy in general, it is improving. And, they're giving up points when it's not hurting them as much. And it helps because your offense is churning 40 points a game. It gives you a little bit of wiggle room. But, the Falcons definitely have to protect the football. The way they're running and passing the ball and mixing that balance under, Kyle Shanahan's offense, they can limit some of the possessions that Aaron Rodgers gets, but man, they can't punt the football. They can't turn it over. They had a turnover-free game and virtually a penalty-free game against Seattle. From that standpoint, it was basically as well as they could play. That's what they're going to need again to win this game. Right now they're on a roll. You got a team that's on a roll against, a quarterback that's on a roll. It's like, what's going to give? But I'm excited about it. I don't know. I don't know what else to say from that perspective. If you're Green Bay, you got to, you got to establish your running game. And, people forget Green Bay, they're not just Aaron Rodgers. I mean, Julius Peppers, Clay Matthews, even Micah Hyde's been playing great in the secondary, the one guy that really has. I mean, they got some players on the defensive end too, and, some young emerging, wide receivers and backs. And they got a pretty good offensive line, possibly the best because Dallas is the best run-blocking line in the league, in my opinion, but I think Green Bay might be the best pass-blocking line in the league.
Yeah, they got great line.
And,
great line, yeah.
If Atlanta doesn't get any pressure on Aaron Rodgers, he's gonna hang 40 on him, so.
Yeah, they're going to need guys to step up and put pressure on Rodgers, no doubt about it. I mean, I like some of the guys. Man, I tell you, Vic Beasley's having a great year. Mm-hmm. Listen, we'll see if the True Fawn injury comes back to haunt Atlanta. Rodgers is playing at such a great level right now that it's scary. You got to be nervous if you're a Falcons fan or if you're an opposing player against the Packers right now. Rodgers is he's playing on a level, I hate to use this term, but he's just playing like on a level of he's like Jesus walking on water level right now, man. It's like, it's hard to bet against him. I bet against him twice in the playoffs thus far. I was wrong. The guy is just playing at such a high level right now. And now I know the big factor, obviously, as we looked at, and now starting to become common knowledge here, is the injuries for the Packers, the injury concerns. Obviously, Jordy Nelson's coming back. He was limited today, as we checked on earlier, and from the 2 broken ribs that he sustained against the Giants. And then you have Devontae Adams now, who's a big injury concern. So, but so normally you'd say, oh well, geez, he's lost. He could theoretically lose both of his top wide receivers. this dude's he's playing at such a high level right now. It doesn't even matter. It just seems like me and you could be on the field and he'll find us. He'll hit us on a 50-yard post or something, man, off of his back foot. It's unreal right now. But good analysis, man. Yeah, you can't let other guys beat you, but they are going to sacrifice the run. Can Ty Montgomery do it is the question. Can he? Oh, hello. We're doing a show. Gosh darn it. But, can he do it? Can Ty Montgomery, carry the ball 25 times for a bunch of time? Forget it. Facebook, we're not getting very good signal here, so I think I'm going to have to ban the Facebook Live. I'll just have to post a show online. Forget about it.
Being blocked by Mike Tomlin.
Yeah, or Bill Belichick. He's blocking our signal with his, he doesn't want us to talk about it.
I'm not on Snapbook or InstaChat.
Yeah, you think he really?
Oh, he knew.
Yeah, he's doing that on purpose. Yeah, there's no way he's that out of touch. There's no way. But getting back to the NFC Championship, can Ty Montgomery be that guy? I don't know. I'm not so sure. And I think, coming out of the backfield, I think Beasley can stay with him, and I think a lot of the guys on Atlanta's defense can stay with him. I mean, he is athletic, though, but, somebody will have to step up. Let's say, hypothetically, that Devontae Adams does not play and Jordy doesn't play, even though Jordy was limited today. But let's just say both those guys don't play. Somebody's going to have to step up, and and you're going to see Ty Montgomery spread out probably, split out. You won't see him so much in the backfield. I mean, you will, but I just think if Devontae Adams is out, I don't know how much they're going to run the ball, to be honest with you. If they lose, if Devontae Adams is out, I can't see that. I mean, I could see it going one of two ways. Either they commit to the run and try to keep Matt Ryan on the sideline and say, okay, well, we're going to have to try to run the ball, or do they just say, screw it. We're just going to.
Yeah, I saw them do that a little bit last year in the wild card game against Washington. Like in the second half, they just basically handed the ball to Lacey and James Starks. They just kind of rotated them and just tried to take the game over that way. And, Kirk Cousins basically sat the whole third quarter on the bench.
Right.
The problem is with the way Aaron Rodgers is playing, you really want to take the ball out of his hands that much.
Absolutely.
And when you know that you're possibly facing a team that might get into the 30s against you, even if you're controlling the clock. I mean, you figure on somewhere around 10 possessions in a game, 8, 9, 10 possessions in a game. The Falcons, if they score on half of them, you're already looking at score touchdowns on half of them anyway. You're already looking at, maybe 28, possibly 35 points. They've had two occasions this year where they've gotten at least 5 consecutive possessions with touchdowns. Once they even hit 7. They had a game with 7 straight touchdowns. So it is, it's risky. It's risky not to try to match scores through the air with Aaron Rodgers when you got the, one of the greats of all time.
Absolutely.
And this is, there's a lot of variables. Nobody knows, is Matt Ryan going to come out and be tight? Is he going to turn the ball over? Is he going to throw a pick in the end zone? All the things that Matt Ryan's career arc was leaning toward before, and some of the mistakes and the things that drove me crazy as a fan about him and the team. He's kind of been able to get around that, especially on this run. And it's funny you mentioned Desmond Trufant, because if you ask me, beginning of the year, who's the most important player on the defense, best player on the defense, I said, what is it, Desmond Trufant, definitely.
Absolutely, yeah.
Pro Bowl, caliber player. When he went out in the Tampa Bay game, they were 6-5 in that game, or 6-4, I'm sorry, and went out for that game 7-4. But they've only lost the Kansas City game since then. So it's just it's just one of those things. It's weird. It's not because he's not there that they're winning,
right?
But they really have found some other guys to step up.
Yep.
And the pass rushers got a lot better. They dug up Dwight Freeney out of cold storage, and man, he looked good against chasing Russell Wilson around.
Connecticut's
Saturday.
own. Yeah,
that's right. From Bloomfield proud, but it's tough to see them commit, especially they don't have that dual threat. They had Lacey, power runner. They had Starks, with the speed. It was a little easier to mix it up. I think if they go 4 or 5 times in a row to Montgomery, the Falcons are going to be able to eventually switch up and, shut it down.
Yeah, the Falcons are definitely the more balanced team. There's no doubt about it, man. Looking at it on paper, there's no doubt about it. Coleman and Freeman are going to be a definite mismatch problem for the Packers. And, you think about keeping Rodgers on the bench, man. Those are the guys that can do it. Forget about Julio. We all know Julio's a home run hitter. Forget it. Julio's a beast. We're not breaking new ground saying, "Oh, watch over Julio Jones." I
expect him to play almost the full game.
Oh,
he may have to come out for some plays, but
this is it for him. This is the season. He'll be out there. It's a little disconcerting. Listen, man. He was banged up, and and I thought with the bye week that he was going to be okay, and he was still limping around there in the sidelines. We can't, but I still think he'll be fine. Julio Jones at 80%. Yeah. Is still better. It's still the best football player on the field.
He's been dealing with injuries since Alabama.
Right.
He's always been a question mark with that.
He has.
So
even the game I went to week 1, he took a hit, and what does he do? He's limping and I'm like, geez, it's week 1, and he's already, limping in the sidelines, taking plays off, and I'm like, oh God. I'm like, here we go. And then he comes on the field, and he's the best player on the field.
He remembers the Packers too, because couple seasons ago, he had that Monday night where they really took a kind of a cheap shot on him.
Yeah, that's right.
And he pretty much,
that's right.
That was basically the end of his season. The Falcons were out of it.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a big deal as far as playoffs run, but I'm sure he remembers.
That's a good point. That's a
good
point.
Lambeau Field on that Monday night.
Yes, they couldn't stop him. He had like 15 catches, or it was ridiculous. They could not stop him.
Because they almost came all the way back and won that game, and Aaron Rodgers had a huge lead on him.
Yes.
And the Falcons, who really weren't playing for anything, and Julio Jones really had a big game.
He had a monster game. I'll never forget that. Yeah, that's true.
That was almost the birth of the modern Kyle Shanahan offense, was that kind of that night. And I think they were just missing last year was that, getting Freeman and Coleman on the field together, having that offensive line develop into the run blocking machine. And Alex Mack's been huge. People don't want to talk. It's not sexy to say a center might be your biggest acquisition. But
oh no, we love the Alex. Yes. I love the Alex Mack pickup. When you guys made it, the pickup, I think we did it. We touched on that, and I loved the pickup when you guys got Alex Mack.
Changed that whole
great point.
Line.
Yes,
the way they had to shuffle that line last year.
Absolutely, he's the unsung hero of the team.
I really do. I think so.
It's true, very true. And I'm leaning over again. All right, I think that's a little better. We'll get that. Go Pack, go! Oh, got a Packer fan here. Matt Bennett, he's a Packer fan here. He's a huge Packer fan. Saying "Go Pack, go!" He's gonna be at the game. Have fun, Matt. Matt's a huge Packer. He's gonna be out.
There'll be a lot. Yeah, there'll be a lot of cheeseheads in.
The Georgia. Sure.
Always is. It's Aaron Rodgers loves playing there too. He likes. I don't know if it's the backdrop or if it's the climate control, but. He always kind of
we'll never
toasts the Falcons in
we'll
the
never
Georgia Dome. So.
Right. Well, we'll never forget that playoff game in 2011.
I try to forget it all the time.
That was another one where that was the pick 6 before. That was actually a close game.
Tremont Williams with the pick right before the half.
That turned the whole game around then.
It really did.
That propelled the Packers to the Super Bowl there. And it's very similar, and that's what Matt Ryan's going to have to avoid here, as we all know. You can't make mistakes. You definitely can't throw pick 6s, and but I tell you, man. Speaking of Matt Ryan, he's a guy I was very critical of. He's a guy, I went to that game, like I said, week 1 against Tampa, opening day, and on September 11th, nonetheless, and they did a great job out there commemorating 9/11, and I was, even at the game, I was critical. I was like, oh, God, Matt Ryan. He made some throws, and I'm like, oh, God. And if you had told me that he would be an MVP candidate, I would have called you crazy. I would have said, you're nuts. Matt Ryan will never be that upper echelon quarterback. And I think this is a big game for him. It's almost reminiscent of Peyton Manning in 2006. Not so much that it's against Belichick and Brady, but this is the game where he needs to win to get to a Super Bowl, because Matt Ryan is a number 1 pick, just like Peyton Manning was. Mm-hmm. He doesn't have quite the esteem as Peyton Manning, obviously, but if he wants to be in that elite the upper echelon of quarterbacks, he needs to get to a Super Bowl. Forget about winning one. He has to get to one. And he has to do it against a great quarterback, and he's got that opportunity. And the knocks on Ryan has been he's lost 2 playoff games at the George Dome, including the NFC title game. Remember in 2012 where they had the huge lead against San Fran, and that game got away from them, and he just didn't make it.
And he didn't play that well down the stretch.
No, he didn't. He didn't. Game. He had a great first half. Yeah. I mean, oh my God, his first half, and then he just did not make enough plays in the second half, and then we all know what happened at that point. So he need this. This will be big for him, in terms of where he stands, because if he loses this game, he doesn't play well. I hate to say it, he's going to be in that level, stuck in that, B tier. That second tier, guys like Romo. I wouldn't even put Cutler there. Cutler's fallen so far. He's not even in the second tier. We went Matthew Stafford. He's going to be in that level. And I think he's better than that. He's better than that. And I know winning a Super Bowl doesn't automatically put you.
I still wouldn't put him.
Like Joe Flacco,
I wouldn't put him in there.
Right. He's the prime example.
I would rather have Matt Ryan than Joe Flacco. But not Aaron. Aaron Rodgers is still another cutout. Rodgers and Brady are the one.
Forget it.
The only guys in the top 2.
I agree. They're in a class by themselves. Yeah.
Roethlisberger's. He's nipping at the heels, but he's a good half level down from that, and then that's where Matt Ryan's trying to get to is the Roethlisberger level.
Absolutely,
like that half a level behind the the 2 greats in the sport.
Absolutely. So this would be a big game for him, man. And I tell you, he looked so good in that Seattle game. I know Seattle had injuries, but man, he looks different to me.
He's different.
He doesn't he to you? He looks more confident. He looks more composed. He looks like a better leader. He just looks like a better player. And I know it's listen, guys, he's been in the league a long time now. People don't realize how long Matt Ryan's been in the league. Yeah. He's been in the league, 8-9 years? Mm-hmm. I think 2008 was his first year. So, it's crazy to say, but, it's just that kind of year for him. Now, he just looks different. He looks more confident. And I think that if there's ever a year where Matt Ryan can take a step over that, get over the hump, it's this year, man.
Yeah, I agree. I'll tell you what's different, and I'll say this. If they had the running game they have now, they would not have lost to San Francisco, because once they got up that big,
agreed,
they would have just, they were relying on Michael Turner, Jaquiz Rodgers to try to be that 1-2 punch. That's not what they have right now.
Right.
And they didn't have the O-line they have now either.
Yeah, right.
Once Alex Mack came in, we were talking about it before, they drafted Jake Matthews. The other guys, Chester and those guys, they're positioned correctly. They're playing as a team, and their run blocking is very good. Other than the Dallas Cowboys, I think they might be the best run blocking team in the league. Like I said, Green Bay, I think, is the best pass blocking team in the league. Even maybe I would even put them over Dallas in that regard. Oakland's another good team, and that pass blocking.
Yeah, Oakland has a great line. Yeah, which is so crazy how you think you would think how Carr got injured, but it was just one of those things.
Freaky play.
Yeah, it was a freak play, but they had. Yeah, you're right. He was one of the least sacked quarterbacks in the NFL this year, Derek Carr. Yeah, no doubt about it.
All right, we got to make sure we leave ourselves time to talk about the AFC game. Do predictions real quick.
All right, let's do it.
You want to go first, or you want?
Yeah, let's do it. I'll go first. All right, looking at everything, Ruggs. Looking at in terms of now the health with the Packers wide receivers, I think that's obviously looming. That's going to loom large. That's a big deal. I know. Listen, I've poo-pooed it. Everyone's minimized. It's Aaron Rodgers. Man, I mean, you can't throw practice squad guys out there. Jeff Janis is going to come in there and do something now. Come on. I mean, if Devontae Adams doesn't play, they're in big trouble. I mean, Jordy's going to be at what, 50%? The guy's playing with 2 freaking broken ribs. He didn't play last week. I don't care how tough you are. I don't care if you got the greatest flak jacket in the world. You take one hit, you're going to feel it. It hurts, man. And he's in a lot of pain. So that's a big deal. I know that the Falcons aren't good against the tight end, so I expect Jared Cook to be big for them. Randall Cobb is definitely could be a problem. But I just think looking at the Falcons, man, with their weapons right now, with Julio, Matt Ryan's playing at an unbelievable level. I think being home is going to be big. I think he's confident at home. I mean, I won't base it all off of being at home. That's, as I said, he's lost at home before in the playoffs. But I like Atlanta, man. I'm going to go with Atlanta. I think they're going to do it. I think Freeman and Coleman, the combo of those two is going to be the deciding factor, in my opinion. I really think those guys are they have a huge mismatch at running back. I think that's too much for the Packers to overcome. And I think the Falcons are going to be able to do it. I think they're going to win the game. I don't like betting against Rodgers again. I know I said I wouldn't do it, but I just think the injuries now to Adams and Nelson now, both of those guys. I mean, I know, and it's very reminiscent of 2010 though, because if you look at that 2010 Packers team, they were a freaking walking hospital. They were. You talk about MASH units. I mean, they lost Charles Woodson at the Super Bowl, and they still won the game. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, the only healthy guys they had left on that team were like Rodgers and Clay Matthews. Yeah. That's it. I mean, it's crazy. But I just really feel like. I really feel as though the Falcons are going to win this game. I think it's going to be a great game. I think it's going to be a tight game. Give me the Falcons 34-31. This year's been the year of irony. I say now this is the week where the Packers lose 34-31.
Well, I went back and forth on this one. I really did.
How can you not? I'm still going back and forth on it.
Because being a lifelong Falcons fan, you get, you're not used to thinking you're going to go into a game winning anyway. So, when you're facing Aaron Rodgers, you got to, you certainly aren't going to feel great about the matchup. But I am going to take the Falcons to win the game.
You homer.
I am a homer.
You're a homer.
I really was, expecting to pick, Green Bay. When the playoff draw came out, I said, somehow can I not face the two teams I didn't want to face. I'll be honest with you, were the Packers and the Giants, and I did like that they were playing each other because I knew they'd get rid of one or the other right there. The reason is because the Giants have the defense that could disrupt an offense like the Falcons, which kind of works like works like a clock.
Absolutely.
When everything's going and all the gears are meshing, it's beautiful to watch.
Giants
score a lot of points, but the Giants defense could scare could have messed that up.
Yeah.
And then don't play Green Bay because of Aaron Rodgers because he can match his score for score, and I don't know that any other team could do that in the NFC. But I think at some point you build all these pieces, you establish this kind of team, you have this kind of season, and you're just kind of primed to do it. I think this is the peak of Matt Ryan's career. He's got one, maybe 2 games left with Kyle Shanahan before he's gone to San Francisco. He's got the running game. He's got the line. He's got everything. And even the defense has picked it up to some point. I mean, still think they're going to, get somewhat torched in the game.
Oh, sure. Yeah, you're going to give up points. No doubt about it.
I just think this is the time. I don't want to say now or never because, it's possible they could come back. A lot of the guys are going to be back, but this is kind of now or never. For this
it
team.
is. I agree.
And I think this is just they're just primed. I think they're ready to do. I think Green Bay is a little bit too injured. They play the extra game. They're away, even though it's going to be at least a third Packers fans. That to me doesn't. And Rodgers played through the noise in Dallas. Didn't bother him. So I think that's a little overblown. But but I think it helps Matt Ryan. It doesn't necessarily hurt Aaron Rodgers to be in Atlanta, but it doesn't. But it helps Matt Ryan to not be in Lambeau Field.
Their offense clicks at home.
Right.
They really do.
I will give. I'll give Atlanta. I'll go. I think it's. I think they're gonna. I say 41-36.
Yeah, it's not crazy. You're betting the over. That's not nuts at all.
I think it's gonna be a lot of points.
I agree. It should be a classic. It really should be a great game. I wish you a lot of luck, Ruggs. As a Falcons fan, and I have no dog in this fight. I got some Packer fans that are obviously, like I said, Matt Bennett, who's giving us.
Yeah,
a
my
little
old
love
man's
here.
a big Packers fan.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, so,
there you go. Yeah, there's a lot of there's a couple guys I know that are Packer fans. So I have no dog in this fight. Both teams are both quarterbacks are great competitors. Rodgers is being now touted as the greatest quarterback of all time. I'm starting to buy that stock. I really am. Guilty as charged. No offense to Tom Brady. I mean, I respect the hell out of Tom Brady. I don't love him so much. He's made a living of torching my team for 15 years. But no, I mean, Aaron Rodgers is just doing things, and he's been doing things a long time. This is nothing new. I mean, this is not like it happened overnight. Aaron Rodgers has been doing this a long time now, but he's just making plays, and he's been making plays for years that I don't think any other quarterback in history can make. There's plays he's making that I don't think any quarterback besides maybe Montana, but I don't even think Montana, because Rodgers has got his arm, his accuracy downfield, man. I mean, like I said, he's making throws off his back foot. I mean, he's throwing the ball 40 yards on a dime. He's putting the ball where only the receiver can get. He's making some plays that are just mind-blowing. It's unbelievable. I mean, so he's playing at an exceptional level right now. And like I said, that's what makes it so hard to bet against a guy. And I'm not betting against Aaron Rodgers, but I just think you need to have some help. You can't win games by yourself. You know what I mean? It's really hard to do so. And if he's losing receivers left and right, I mean, it's hard for me to say, oh yeah, he can win an NFC championship with Jeff Janis and Randall Cobb and Jared Cook, and I got Matt Ryan over here throwing to Julio Jones and Taylor Gabriel, and he's got 2 elite running backs behind him and a great O-line. Come on now. Eventually, it's like, we got to do basic math here and say, wait a minute, who's got more weapons? But should be a classic, Ruggs. I'm excited. I'm fired up. Now let's go to the AFC.
Yep. You got the Steelers going into Foxborough to play the Patriots. Yeah.
The Pats are in the AFC title game again? Oh, jeez. The more things change, the more they stay the same, huh? Well, Robert Kraft was at the inauguration today. So he, Well,
Belichick's going to be president next.
President Belichick, you imagine? Oh, man, imagine those press conferences with him. Holy cow. Go ask Putin. Go. Yeah, okay. He'd kill everybody.
On to Washington.
We're on to healthcare.
The hoodie in the Oval Office.
Yeah, he'd be like Darth Sidious. Was it Darth Sidious? That was him, right? The Emperor.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, that's why he's call him Darth Belichick. Yeah, with the hoodie. Yeah, he does look like.
He can help Trump build his wall like like the Death Star.
Yes. Yes, you are my master. No one knows it. You are my master. Yes, master. It's Kraft behind Trump the whole time. Yeah, you imagine? Yeah, Kraft's at the inauguration today, so that's pretty good. I wonder if our liberal Patriot fan friends have any issue with that. I'm sure they weren't too happy. Yeah, I wonder if they were upset. Not my owner. That could be new. That could be a new hashtag. Not my owner. Not my owner. Yes, he is. You love him. Stop it. But yeah, AFC title game. No big surprise here, Ruggs. Many pundits, many experts, quote unquote, ourselves included. This is an AFC title game many of us were seeing back in August. With Pittsburgh's high-powered offense, improving defense now. They've made. You talk about. I got to give Pittsburgh credit. They have made some great picks in the draft. Shazier was a great pick. He's a tremendous player. Artie Burns and Sean Davis in that secondary. Burns and Davis in that secondary have improved them mightily.
I like Bud Dupree too. That was another
Dupree,
good pick.
I got to give the Steelers credit, man. They have done a nice job building through the draft, really. And and them being here, they've won 9 in a row, right? 9 in a row. Yeah, 9. They're on fire, man. And you give them any chance there, Ruggs, to beat the Pats, going to New England and beat them? What do you think, Ruggies?
Yeah, not to take away the drama. This is another game I went back and forth. I probably started thinking, of New England because they just have Pittsburgh's number, but I actually am going to take Pittsburgh when we get down to it. I think they have a real good chance. Nobody can stop the running game right now. Le'Veon Bell is just killing people.
Yeah.
His style of running, it's kind of revolutionary in a way. You don't see anybody yet.
He's incredible, man.
He just lets his line set.
Yeah.
And that line's just, when you give the line that extra, half a second, full second to set the blocks, it's just very difficult to stop. You need to have really elite level linebackers to come in and combat that.
Yeah.
And I don't know that New England lets a lot of their elite level linebackers, they're on other teams now.
Yeah.
Like Jamie Collins and those guys, they're not there anymore. So
right.
The guys that aren't injured, aren't around. I mean, New England, they do the best job with smoke and mirrors of anybody.
They do. Unbelievable. And I tell you, their defense is,
and it's the number one rated defense in the league. But
it's debatable right now, which is crazy to say that for the first time in a long time, the Pats may have the best defense left in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, statistically, I definitely agree. But I think Pittsburgh's defense is good enough to at least keep Brady from blowing them out early. That's what they got to worry about. An early turnover, couple quick. If it's 14-0 right off the bat, it's going to be tough.
Yeah,
because it's going to limit how much they can really be patient with Le'Veon Bell. They got to stop kicking field. The only thing that worries me about Pittsburgh, they got to stop kicking field.
They got to put the ball in the end zone. Good point, Ruggs. Absolutely.
Get it to Antonio Brown. Let him atone for his, bad decision making.
His enthusiasm with his social media, which I don't think. You think that's a big deal? I don't think it's a big deal. But I make we're making jokes of it, but everyone's acting like they're so appalled by. Come on, give me a break.
I'm not appalled by what was said. I mean, but it is you're breaking the unwritten rule of having it on, and stupid. But
for the press to do it, but it's okay for the press to be there.
Right.
It's okay for them to be there.
And what are you going to do? Not play Antonio Brown in the AFC title game? No. I think Tomlin handled it well.
Yeah.
He handles things like that with his team well. That's why they love him, and they'll run through a wall for the guy. So they keep it in house, and believe me, they got on Antonio Brown. He didn't get an Odell Beckham slap on the wrist.
And he issued a public apology on. So he said, okay, looking back, I may have made a mistake there. But again, I don't know. I don't think it's that huge of a deal. I really don't. I mean,
I do think you want to get him involved early in the game, though.
Yes.
Let him have a positive play or two. Then it's all forgotten.
Absolutely.
If he's not able to get open, which I think, even though Malcolm Butler's an excellent young corner, I still think he's not going to be able to keep Antonio Brown down.
I've seen a lot of players live. I tell you, I've been fortunate enough to go to. I mean, not a lot of football games. But I've been to my fair share, and I've gone to various cities. And I tell you, he is the most impressive football player. And I was at the game this year in Buffalo with Le'Veon Bell just put on one of the greatest displays of dominance. I mean, what a dominant performance by Le'Veon Bell in Buffalo. I was at that game, and it was just unbelievable. Le'Veon Bell is
I thought he was incredible
phenomenal.
Last week, and he didn't score a touchdown. But that's as dominant a performance without scoring a touchdown as you'll ever see.
Yeah, and it was so quiet, too. You're like, you didn't even realize afterwards, we ran for 170.
Oh, Kansas City just never had the ball in the second half.
He's a dominant player. But my point was, I'm sorry I'm dragging it on, but he is the best football player I've ever seen live in person. He is incredible. I mean, he is so athletic. His hands are phenomenal. He gets open at will, seemingly. He is unbelievable. And I've seen some great football players live. I mean, I've seen Brady. I've seen Peyton Manning. I mean, I've seen your Falcons with Julio. I haven't seen Rodgers yet, but still. I mean, I've seen some great players. I've seen Cam. I've seen, you name it, I've seen them. As I said, Rodgers is probably the only great player I've never seen live. But Antonio Brown's the best football player I've ever seen. It's live. I mean,
that's a statement. That says something.
In terms of athleticism, and in terms of just talent, he's unbelievable. He really is. So he is. Yeah, they definitely got to get him involved. And I think the offensive line is going to be an issue. Going to be an area of emphasis for the Steelers. They have to protect Ben. They have to keep him upright. Can the Pats get pressure on him? You got to hit Ben. You look at his home road splits. His road splits aren't good. I mean, let's be honest. He's a much better quarterback at home for whatever the reason. But
And he's struggled at times with the Belichick defense. That worries me.
He's
about picking him, but
he doesn't have good history against Belichick. The Pats have owned the Steelers since Roethlisberger's been there.
They really have. It seems foolish. It seems like two foolish picks. I mean, you start off, you pick against Aaron Rodgers, and now you're picking against the Patriots, with being the Steelers, who have not had any success. But at some point, that was the thing with Manning too. Like in the Colts, it's just it's just the bugaboo. They can't get over the hump.
Yep.
And then at the very end, and then especially when he went to Denver, all of a sudden you just figure it out, and just the talent and the superior players went out even over, the whatever magic that Belichick's able to conjure up. Eventually, that runs out, and like Manning and the Broncos were getting them the last couple times before Manning retired. So he went out kind of with the edge in that rivalry, after having just his clock clean for basically a decade by Brady and the Pats. And I can kind of see that happen. To me, that the better football players are wearing black and gold, and that's why at the end of the day I picked the Steelers, because
I agree.
I think Le'Veon Bell, I'm taking him over Blunt or anybody in the Pats backfield. I think wide receivers. Yeah. Sometimes you got to remind me who the Patriot wide receivers are. I mean, Edelman's is a good player, and
he's a nice little pesky player, tough guy. He
is a tough guy. He's in that Welker mode and possession receiver and all that, and he's very important to Tom Brady, obviously. Yep. But they don't have an Antonio Brown.
No,
they don't have a Le'Veon Bell.
No, they don't.
I don't think their defense is very good, and it's a team concept. But I don't think they have any. They don't have the individual guys that Pittsburgh has, and I like the Steeler offensive line better.
Yeah, and I agree. And I think the Steelers, can they get pressure on Brady? Can they hit him? And I mean, James Harrison right now is playing at 38 years old. And I know we got tired of hearing it last week with I believe it was Nance. Who did the game last? Was it Nance or no? It was Collinsworth. It was NBC. Oh, he's 38. They were drilling that home. It's like, okay, we get it. Yes, he's 38 years old. We know, we get it. Okay, enough. All right. But no, but we got to give him credit, though. I mean, he's 38 years old, and he's playing. I mean, if you watched him last week, and I'm sorry, Travis Kelce, that was holding. I don't want to. I'm sorry. That was
no
holding.
Doubt about it.
Fisher grabbed him and he tackled. This idea that Kelce was crying about, he fell. Oh, no, he did not.
How about not getting the 15-yard penalty you got for just knocking Cockrell right over?
Oh, that was a stupid penalty. How about not dropping touchdowns either? Shut up, Kelce.
Right.
Shut up.
It was not a good look for him that night. He had a phenomenal season, but he really ended it kind of on a whimper.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, come on. My man Fisher. Your man Fisher fell on him. I mean, that's why James Harrison fell to the ground. Are you kidding me? But anyway, my point was, if you saw James Harrison play, if you watched a video of him last week, and I showed you a clip of him from 2008, you could tell the difference.
Oh yeah,
I mean it's incredible.
Incredible, regimen he's got to keep himself fit. And,
Jerry, he says he spends like $300,000 on his body.
Yeah.
Just to keep himself intact and keep himself in shape, and he really hits it hard, and
he's still in the league.
It's unbelievable. Yeah, incredible. But yeah, I think I like the Steelers defense too. I think missing Gronk is going to be a big problem for the Pats.
Yeah, because that was the one edge they really had, the big mismatch they could have had to. I think this is the game where it finally catches up to him.
I agree. I think because Gronk could take over a game. Gronk is so dominant, he could just take over. And Gronk has great history against the Steelers. I remember last year, week 1, he had the 3 touchdowns against Pittsburgh in Foxborough. He's done. Did he score against them again this year when they played? I didn't look at the box. I forgot. I think he did, though. If I'm not mistaken. Pittsburgh,
I think he did too.
I think Gronk did, yes. And I think Gronk did score that game again. So that's going to be, I think, the guy they're going to, you talk about injuries and guys who aren't on the field who the teams are going to miss. Gronk's going to come back. I think the Pats are going to say, hey, we could have really used Gronk in the AFC title game. And to the extent they'll probably be making excuses, but that's okay. I mean, and they should. I mean, when you're, and Gronk is their best offensive weapon. He is. He's their best offensive weapon, and they're missing him. So you're right, Ruggs. You put it eloquently there, man. Great point that this will be the game, I think, where they're going to really miss Gronk. And, Chris Hogan's banged up. Malcolm Mitchell's banged up. They're another team with a lot of injuries on with their receiving core. And how long can they keep doing this? Listen, and can Deion Lewis do that again? I mean, maybe. I mean, he's a great athlete. He's a great weapon to have. But he's going to do that again. And I give Deion Lewis a lot of credit. I mean, besides the fumble, he made up for it with the 3 touchdowns. But, God, he's going to have to do that again. And, I mean, LeGarrette Blount did not look right. Hey, now LeGarrette Blount could come out here and run all over
He could
the
have
Steelers.
a big game.
He's talented enough to do that. But I don't know if he's going to. I think with Shazier and the Steelers' defense, they've been really improved, man. I mean, since that Dallas game, where the Cowboys beat them, they've just been on a real roll, on a serious roll. And, I'm going to – it's hard for me to bet against Brady, too.
It's tough. It puts you in a tough position. But, hey, you got 4 the Final Four, you got 4 unbelievable quarterbacks
is he gonna,
teams.
Is he going to play that poorly again? I mean, because he did play poorly against Houston. He did. Let's not – if Bouye doesn't
they
drop
took
that –
him lightly.
If Bouye doesn't drop that pick, that game could have changed.
Yeah.
That was a huge drop. Bouye dropping that pick in the beginning of the second half there. They would have had the ball in the 20 again. They would have been in the red zone.
Will Fuller drops the touchdown.
Yeah, Will Fuller.
That was the nail.
I tell you, I'm not saying Houston would have won, but that game.
Yeah, it could have been a
nail biter.
1-score game.
Absolutely.
Anyway.
But I think I've had a feeling I'm gonna go with it. I think the Steelers are gonna do it, man. I think the Steelers are gonna win this game. I don't know why. I mean, listen, I know there's a stomach bug going on, and this is an area of concern. I mean, there's a breaking story about there's a stomach bug going around the Steelers locker room now. Now that could be an issue. If you got Ben Roethlisberger puking up, and you got Antonio Brown or Le'Veon Bell, one of these guys, hurling before with a stomach bug, and there's a pretty wicked bug going around. I just know of people who are getting it, just. From around town and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
People have been saying, "Hey, I'm sick. I got a stomach bug." It's really going around. So if that and from what I've heard, it's pretty violent. If that's what's befallen the Steelers, that could be a problem. But saying all that, I'm going to go with the Steelers. I think Steelers win this game. Say it's a close one. I'm going to go. I don't see the Pats put up that many points. I don't see the Pats getting to 30, man. I don't see it. I really don't see the Pats. I'm going to go go 28-24, Pittsburgh.
All right, I'll go 23-20. I'm also going Pittsburgh.
I don't think it's a high-scoring game.
I don't think so either.
Yep.
And, for all the reasons that, we talked about, that's why I'm going with Pittsburgh. I just think at the end of the day, they have the better football players. Obviously, you can't include Tom Brady in that, but
right.
Big Ben's not too shabby. Well, we left ourselves just a couple of minutes. We want to touch real quick on the Hall of Fame voting, and looking at some of these careers. I mean, there's some iffy, some tough picks. I mean, but some guys that didn't get in that had some pretty impressive numbers, and I'm trying to pull it up here, and of course,
the 3 guys that got elected were Jeff Bagwell, who was who had a pretty good career, pretty solid career. I believe it was a one-time MVP or 2-time MVP. I'm not sure.
It was a one-time MVP.
One-time MVP.
All right, he played 15 years. Let's go through this real quick. What do you, out there watching, if you think that, this is Hall of Fame worthy, if I can get the
his career stats? Yeah. Well, he definitely had a solid career. I mean, if I'm going off my memory here, I know you pulled it. Here we go.
So here we go. We got, he hit
449.
Yeah. Knocked in 1529, career average 297.
Yeah.
My only issue, and I met Jeff Bagwell once, nice guy, back when he was still playing.
Nice.
And, have nothing against him, but let's go to postseason here. Played in, 9 series total. His postseason numbers, he's batting 226, 2 home runs, 13 RBIs.
Yeah,
that doesn't sell you.
Yeah, well, that's one area. Yeah, well,
and he's a Connecticut guy, so I root for him. I'm glad he got in. But
I love Jeff Bagwell. Yeah, I really enjoy Jeff Bagwell. Looking at his numbers, I mean, you look at his defense. I think he. Listen, I think he was fringe Hall of Famer. I know he didn't get the 500 home runs, but
that would have been big.
Man, you look at his numbers. I mean, how many Silver Sluggers did he win? I mean, he was a multi-time Silver Slugger, Rookie of the Year in '91.
Yeah.
Won the. I mean,
All-Star.
Gold Glover. How many times? Did he win?
4-time All-Star. I don't know if it. 1 Gold Glove.
1 Gold Glove.
So, it's borderline. The postseason thing makes it tough.
Yeah,
and
I
then,
guess.
Real quick, let's go to The Rock.
Yeah.
Now Rock Reigns, he gets
this one.
It's tough, and people are gonna kill him.
I don't like it.
People are gonna kill him for this, but
I don't like it. I think this is more of a metrics
He does it almost on longevity. All right, look at it.
He's a compiler.
23 seasons.
Yeah, he's a compiler. But okay. All right, let's count.
And let's see where it's impressive.
Never won an MVP. Never.
No,
I mean,
he was 5th once.
Wow.
But I mean,
all right, stolen base.
Here, 90 stolen bases in '83.
Yeah. No, he definitely did that.
In between 78 and 75. I mean,
he retired with 808.
He's a leadoff
bases.
guy, so I mean, you're not going to see 300 or 400 home runs out of him. I mean, he hit 170, and it's not bad for a leadoff hitter.
Yeah.
Career average 294.
980 RBIs.
Yeah,
not terrible. Well, he's a compiler.
430 doubles, and what's that? 808 stolen bases.
Yeah, well, that's Hall of Fame.
I want to pull up. I'd like to pull up Henderson's numbers and compare them to that because I don't have them offhand.
What's his OPS? Let me see. OPS what? 670. No, that's just 1 year. 810. Yeah, pretty good. That's pretty good.
And we'll go to his postseason. It's better than Bagwell's, but it's not tremendous. Most of his his chops were made early in his career with the Expos, and then he had the one, he was part of the Yankee dynasty. He was a very important part of that Yankee team, actually.
He was on a lot of Yankee. He was actually on most of those Yankee teams.
Yeah,
98 was
he had
96 to 98.
He had one of the big hits of that postseason run when they were in Texas, and he had a 9th inning hit that.
I remember that.
They pulled that out, and that changed that series because it was 1 apiece, and they were down a run in the 9th, and he came through. So I always remember that about him. But postseason numbers, he's not 1 home run in a postseason. That's not gonna, that's not where he made his hay. But 270 average.
How many steals?
3 steals. Most of those, actually, they were with the Yankees. I would have expected them to be with Montreal.
Well, it looks like he only made it to 1 postseason.
Yeah, that was
81.
I actually kind of, as a little kid, remember that series a little bit.
Not to make you feel
Yankees,
old.
Royals, and Dodgers and Expos.
Yes.
How much has the world changed since then? The umpires wore red jerseys then. They weren't even in all black and blue like they are now. They wore these red sport coats. And George Brett and Greg Nettles were diving down the third baseline, making plays.
Yeah, that was a hell of an L.
But yeah, Andre Dawson and Tim Rock Reigns, Gary Carter, and the Expos. It was a good team that then flew under the radar. But they
very good team.
They couldn't beat Garvey and Ron Say and the bastard Dodgers that beat my Yankees in 6 games in '81.
Yeah,
and that's way off topic, but
that's all right.
Now let's go to the guy who didn't get in that a lot of people think should have.
See, I don't know, man. I'm not a Tim Raines fan. I don't think he's.
He's got the same exact home run as Bagwell, 449.
The problem is that I think the Hall of Fame is for the best of the best.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I think we're living in a society, not to get too political, but I think we're living in a society where everyone gets a participation trophy. And I just think Tim Raines is a participation trophy induction. I really do. And I'm sorry, there's been a lot of guys. I'm not a fan of Dawson getting in. I'm not a fan of Burt Blyleven. I think Burt Blyleven's a compiler. I don't think Burt Blyleven was a Hall of Famer. I mean, there's a couple guys that are getting in here that I just don't feel like they're immortals. Like, imagine you bring your kids to the Hall of Fame, right? You go to the Hall of Fame with your kids, and you take them to Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig. You take them to see these immortal players, and then you go, Tim Raines? I mean, Andre Dawson? Ozzie Smith? Oh, Burt Blyleven.
Well, Ozzie Smith was like a
defensive guy.
Then that's like a specialist.
Then Omar Vizquel should be in. Why is Omar Vizquel not getting in?
Ozzie Smith was better.
I don't know about that.
Ozzie Smith was better.
Don't know.
I saw them both play. Ozzie Smith was better.
All right. Well, Omar Vizquel's maybe number 2 then.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I don't have anything against.
Yeah, no, I'm just using an example. You know, if you're going to put defensive guys in, my point is like, you know, who's the other guy? The guy from the Mazeroski, Bill Mazeroski from the Pirates. Oh, come on.
That was because of one hit.
Oh, come on.
He had one hit that put him on the map.
Are we really going to? Oh, come on. And then put Jimmy Pearsall in the Hall of Fame. I know we're in Red Sox stuff, but come on. And if we're going to put it's just. That's my point. I'm not saying Tim Raines was a bad baseball player. I like Tim Raines a lot, but the Hall of Fame is not for marginal play. It's not for fringe guys. Then why is Keith Hernandez not in the Hall of Fame? And I got people calling up, and they're right. Oh, defensive wizard. The guy won 11 Gold Gloves. Then why is he not in the Hall of Fame then? If Ozzie Smith is a defensive guru, that's why he's in. Bill Mazeroski had a .998 fielding percentage. Okay, then put Keith in. Oh, but he didn't hit enough home runs. Bill Mazeroski did? Come on, Ozzie Smith did? Give me a break. Give me a freaking break here. Though you can't be subjective here. And that's the thing that drives me crazy is subjectiveness. You don't be subjective. Be consistent. If you're going to put in a guy for one reason, then you got to put in everybody for that same reason. You can't be subjective here. You know, come on, man. That drives me up the walls. That drives me berserk. You got to give me facts. Don't give me.
Hernandez's issue is he goes against the first base class, and that's a different set of characters here.
Yeah, but shortstop. I know. I don't know. I get that, but don't give me one area and say, oh well, Ozzie Smith was a great defensive player. That's why he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. All right, guy won 11 Gold Gloves. I don't care if it's that first. The guy won 11 straight Gold Gloves. Guy won 11 Gold Gloves. Oh yeah, but. Oh yeah, but. Oh okay. Oh yeah, but. Oh yeah, but. But anyway.
All right. I'm actually.
Looking at Vlad Guerrero here,
Guerrero, same home runs as Bagwell with 449.
And we got no problem with Pudge Rodriguez, in my opinion.
1496 RBIs. Yeah. I mean, that's very similar. He's got a very similar line to Bagwell.
And he actually won an MVP.
Except he hit 318 for his career. That's impressive.
Very impressive. OPS of 931.
Let's go down.
Really impressive. Vlad
see postseason here.
And Vlad also doesn't have the.
To me, postseason matters a lot. A lot of people say that it doesn't, but
he had some with the Angels. What did he do?
He had 10 series, which is actually more than more than Bagwell had. I mean, 10 series. He struck out 30. Wow, he was a free swinger. I mean, he struck out 30 times. 263. It's not terrible. Only 2 home runs, 20 RBIs. I mean, none of these guys have knock your socks off postseason numbers.
Well, you know, I just think it's the pitching you go against too. I think
that does
you
matter.
face some darn good pitching in the playoffs as opposed to some watered down pitching in a 162 game schedule. You know, you're not going against minor league pitchers and number 5 pitchers a lot of the times. But I mean, no excuses.
And this guy's going to get in. I mean, I
don't make excuses.
No question about it. He's going to get in.
Oh, he should.
Whether it's next year or the year after, whatever it is. So I mean, it's not. You don't have to, start the petitions for the guy because he's going to make it in.
Exactly. He just didn't get in on the first ballot, which probably, they probably figure that. I think everyone's got this cloud of steroids around him. And Jeff Bagwell, listen. If you ask me, put a gun to my head, I think Bagwell did it. I think Bagwell juiced. The guy was on a team full of guys who I think Biggio juiced. And now again, I can't prove it. That's why I say think. But if it's all about, again, conjecture, just like Piazza. The cloud was over Piazza's head last year. So, if we're on the subject of conjecture, which I hate doing, I don't like. I think it's irresponsible for me to sit here. I know we're not on a big platform. We're not on a major network here, but still, I don't like the idea of shaking my fingers like I know you did steroids. Well, I can't prove it. I can think it. I can accuse someone of doing it, but I can't prove it. I got no proof. I can't prove Piazza was saucing. I can't prove. Biggio was saucing. I can't prove Bagwell was doing it. I can't prove Vlad Guerrero was doing it. Do I think they were? Yeah. If you ask me, yeah. Absolutely. Do I think Jeff Kent sauced? Yeah, because he sucked with the Mets. He sucked in Cleveland, hung out with Barry Bonds, and became a friggin' Hall of Famer and an MVP. Is that a coincidence? Maybe. I mean, let's be honest. Jeff Bagwell was 175 pounds. Comes back after the strike. The guy weighs 225 pounds, solid muscle. He's hitting 50 home runs left and right. Is that a coincidence? Maybe. Craig Biggio Craig Biggio was a stick figure catcher. They didn't even know where to put the guy. The guy comes back after the strike, solid as a rock. The guy looks jacked out of his mind. All of a sudden, he's getting 225 hits, batting .330, hitting 25 home runs, putting up monster numbers at second base every year. Was that a coincidence? Maybe. That's what I'm saying. So if that's the barometer, we can't be subjective. We can't sit here and say, "Well, I know Vlad Guerrero didn't do steroids." Do you really? I know Jeff Bagwell didn't do steroids. Really? You do? You know for a fact?
No, nobody does.
You know? And that's why, and I got to get on this. Clemens, the time has come. It's over. The time has come for Clemens and Bonds to be in. Sorry. I don't care. The time has come. I know they both were found guilty pretty much. I mean, Bonds still was never really found guilty. I mean, there's been
yeah, and it doesn't.
Well, we know he did it. We know he did it. Now that's one where, although there's not a lot of evidence, we know Bonds juiced. I mean, come on.
Absolutely.
There's things that are so obvious that you don't really need evidence. So Sammy Sosa's another one. But anyway,
I don't think he was juicing in Pittsburgh, and he was still a pretty damn good hitter in Pittsburgh.
Right. Well, according to the reports, he started saucing in '98. Right around the time Bonds and he got so mad because Bonds and Sosa were mashing these home runs and they were all over the news and Bonds, according to what people were according to the stories
I've
I've
heard
read,
a similar thing.
He was sitting home with the ailing elbow and said, screw it, you know what, I'm 38, 37, whatever. He was towards the end of his career and he said, you know what, I'm gonna do it too, screw it, But anyway, so I think the time has come for those guys.
Yeah,
I think the day is gonna come too. But again, it's the sports. It's up to the writers. It's up to the voters and the writers to put him in. But
why is Bud Selig in there? I mean, that's a joke,
Jesus,
that's another matter.
Christ, Bud Selig.
And Trevor Hoffman does not get in. See that. So you got Rock Reigns. I don't think Hoffman should be in. That's.
Yeah, but you know what? Bruce Suter's in the Hall of Fame. Yeah. See, that's what I'm saying,
it's
bro.
Tough. It's tough.
And Trevor Hoffman was a great closer. And
He's a great closer.
I'm with you. I'm with you.
Great. You need to be in the Hall of Fame. You got to get Scott Brocious out in the World Series. You can't let him hit a.
I agree.
Run homer off you.
Hoffman did have some.
That was
colossal.
The one big moment. He was finally on stage for the national audience because he plays out in no media coverage San Diego. They can't even get their own fans. They have that World Series stadium. You got the hated Yankees in there in the World Series. You got a ninth inning lead after you blew the 2 games in the Bronx, and
he spit the bit, but I don't think I don't think it's enough to keep a guy out of the
No, it's not, and it's stupid to say one game. No. But that's my everlasting memory of Trevor Hoffman.
Right. That's his legacy.
Coming into the AC/DC, Hell's Bells, all that.
Yes.
Gung ho, and Scott Brocious hits one off.
Yeah.
Not that Scott Brocious didn't have a lot of key home runs because he did.
Oh, Brocious was clutch.
He was very clutch, but
No, good point. I feel the same way. That people remember big moments, man. People remember big moments, and you're not the only one who probably thinks that way. The same thing is going to be true for a lot of closers. I mean, look at Jeurys Familia, for example. Not that he's in Trevor Hoffman's level yet, but what do people? Jeurys Familia's got like 98 saves in 2 years, and what do people talk about? The World Series. Yeah. And he was great. He was unreal those first 2 rounds of the 2015 postseason. But what do people talk about? Oh, he spit the bit against Kansas City. Oh, he spit the bit against the Giants. The guy's got nearly 100 saves in 2 years.
It's tough. I mean, he's got a long time to kind of break the record.
Right, and that's just one example of people remember big moments, man. And no, I can't kill you on that. Yeah, I won't lose sleep over Hoffman not getting in. He's a freaking closer for crying out loud.
I still think the way the numbers are going, though, he probably will.
Yeah, he'll get in. They're already prognosticating the next year that he should get in, and I think Vlad Guerrero will get in. But I don't have a problem with Pudge, Ivan Rodriguez, great player. Excuse me. Hey, he's another guy. Did he take steroids? Jose Canseco said he did. But, hey, that's it. And Canseco, I think, even touched on that. He said, hey, we just put in a definite juicer just now with Ivan Rodriguez. And now, Canseco's coming out and saying, hey, now it's time to put in Bonds and Clemens because now you just put in a definite juicer with Rodriguez. But I don't care. I really don't. When I was younger, I was so sanctimonious and I was so, passionate about steroids and now I'm like, whatever, dude. It's a dark eye. It's a black eye. in baseball. Bud Selig enabled it. Bud Selig allowed it to happen. When you don't have regulation, when you don't have Donald Fear too, who was the head of the Players Association at the time, he's guilty of it too. They knew what was going on. The media, I blame the media too. The media knew what was going on, but did they care? No, they didn't care. They glorified McGuire. They glorified Sosa. They glorified Bonds. They glorified all these guys. I'm old enough to remember. I was there. Okay, I'm old enough to remember this stuff. They glorified it. And then when the getting got good and the milk began to go sour.
They threw him under the bus.
And the well went dry, and they threw him under the bus. They said, okay, now we'll get these guys. And it's just, it's sad in a way how these guys were, they made a lot of money for the sport, and then they were thrown under the bus. But they did it to themselves too. But, when you're in the moment, you don't think like that. You don't think like, oh God, in 5 years, maybe I should stop doing the steroids because in 5 years I might get in some trouble. No, you're making tons of money. You're all over SportsCenter. You're breaking records. You're playing the best you've ever played. No one's checking you.
Yeah.
You're being enabled. But they inducted the great enabler too, Bud Selig. Good for him. And thanks for the stupid wild card rule. I hate the 2 wild cards. I hate it. And I don't like it. I like the original wild card, great. And I know that's actually one you got to give to Selig. I'll give it to him. But there are so many other things that I can't believe this guy's going into the Hall of Fame. I mean,
I don't know.
I should wear a shirt, not my commissioner. I should protest his induction. I should have. It's too late now. But oh geez, just yeah, I mean, there's so many the All-Star game debacle, and then he makes home field. Now Manfred, I think now has finally pulled the plug on that disaster.
That's out.
Oh my God, let's make home field of the World Series for an All-Star game that no one gives a damn about. How stupid! Because you sat there and got humiliated in Milwaukee. Because the game ended up. Who cares? It ended up in a tie. Who cares? Oh, the game ends in a tie. The All-Star game. Who cares? You think any kids went home that day in Milwaukee, went home that night and cried because no one won the All-Star game? Oh, no one won, Daddy, Mom. Who gives a crap? I mean, really? I mean, Bud Selig was just, God, I can go on all day about Bud Selig. I don't want to run, talk your ear off here, but God, I can go on all day about Bud Selig. Terrible. But it is what it is. He's in. They love him. He's in. But the Hall of Fame's become watered down. It's become watered down. It's one thing I can't believe. I actually saw a Facebook memory on my feed. You get that every day now. You have memories on Facebook, and it's a guy that I don't really agree with very much or often, Keith Olbermann, and he had a great tirade last year about the Hall of Fame. He's right about tearing it down. It's become watered down, and he might have been talking about the old racists in there like Ty Cobb and stuff, But I'm talking about it in terms of just putting in marginal players, and it's just in a matter of being subjective. But it is what it is. They're in. Congratulations to them. Hey, you got to give it to them again. And I'm not trying to say they're not great players. I'm not trying to crap on Tim Raines. Tim Raines was a tremendous ball player. I'm not trying to crap on Jeff Bagwell. I'm okay with Ivan Rodriguez being in. He's one of the greatest catchers I've ever seen, so I have no problem with him. I am crapping on Bud Selig. I don't have enough time to do it, but I do crap on. But the other two guys, I'm not saying they were tremendous players, but I'm sorry. We don't know if are they immortals? I don't think so.
You are, though.
Yes.
That's about all the time we have for today's show, though.
Yeah. Great. It's great. It's great. The Hall of Fame's great. Greatest Hall of Fame of all time. Terrific. Tremendous. Fantastic. Ruggs, it was good to see you again. And it was great to see you. Great to see all. Great. Thank all the listeners. Yeah, I think the 2 people that commented on us during Facebook Live. Sorry I went poo-poo, but we're going to post this up there and you'll listen to the full show. Not too good of a signal over here, I guess. Kind of goes in and out. But
in the studio dungeon.
In the basement of our lair here in the middle of nowhere.
Enjoy your football Sunday, everyone out there.
Absolutely. Yeah, it should be a good time. Excited.
Absolutely. and we'll talk to you soon.
All right.
Hopefully
Well,
have a Super Bowl preview for you.
hell yeah. Well done, partner.
Same to you, brother.
Take
Take
care.
it easy, everyone.
Take care, everybody.